Sanna Marin is the world's youngest-serving female Prime Minister and heads a coalition of 5 parties, all led by women. From being the first country in Europe to give equal voting rights, Finland has been praised for its historic approach to gender equality. But is all as good as it seems to be?
5 white, educated females. It's not very representative in the end.
And is this really a country for every woman?
Of course, our background still affects the possibilities that we have in life, and this shouldn't be the case, but of course we have problems.
Ahead of the launch of an ambitious new equality plan, we talk exclusively to the party leaders of the world's only all-female-led government. Li Andersson is one of the 5 female party leaders that make up the country's coalition government. This week, the Cabinet are going to be meeting to launch a signature government programme, the Equality Plan, aimed to improve equality across society, including on race and gender issues.
I mean, in Finnish media, I think there's been some kind of comments around whether we all go to the sauna together, because there's this old cliche about Finnish politics that the decisions are made in the sauna. Something that had been heavily criticized in feminist circles because it's, the whole idea of male decision makers sitting in the sauna is based on this concept of decision makers being solely men. There is kind of this tendency of some people to say that because there is women, you will make a certain type of policy, or it's easier for you to agree when you're all women and so on, and that's not I think necessarily the case, and that's why I also want there to be a focus around the policy of the government, not just the gender of the female party leaders.
Although Finland is celebrated for its equality, recent reports from the Council of Europe have detailed what they call a concerning rise in racism in the country. Bella Forsgren is the only black politician in Finland's government, and Akuna Onwen is the chair of Finland's anti-racist forum.
Niin on myös se, että vaikka sä kouluttautuisit todella korkealle, niin sä et silti saa sun oman alan töitä. Eli Suomessa ei ole ehkä totuttu, niin kuin Bellakin aikaisemmin puhui siitä, että ei ole totuttu siihen, että osallisuus tulee ihan näistä kaikista mekanismeista, mitä meillä kuitenkin hyvinvointiyhteiskunnassa on laitettu paikoilleen sen takia, että kaikilla olisi tasa-arvoiset ja yhdenvertaiset mahdollisuudet.
If we had exactly the same conditions, exactly the same timing, exactly the same age, exactly the same family background, and yet Sanna Marin was black, would she be Prime Minister?
Now?
Not now.
No.
Nyt ei.
Not now.
I think the representation with 5 white, educated females is not very representative in the end. And there were a lot of critical writings when this photo went viral that, hey, if we really look at the equality here, it doesn't show yet. And I agree on that. Because actually Tarja Halonen, who you probably know, the first female president and the only female president, she says that it's not the person who breaks the glass ceiling, but it's the people who follow. And I think that's to the point. You need the persons who break the ceiling, but then you also need all the people who will follow, and you should never stop that.
Far up in the Arctic Circle, Finland's Northern Territory is home to Europe's only indigenous population, the Sami people. In Finland, they were only officially recognised by the government in the 90s, and they still face a battle for their right to the land and their way of life. Sarah Weslin is a journalist based in the Sami town of Ivalo. What are the major sort of issues concerning Sami people right now?
We don't have a Sami representative in a Finnish government.
Is that worrying?
Yes, of course.
In your ideal future, what would you like this government to do? What would you like Sanna Marin to do for Sami women?
We don't have to be ashamed that we are Samis living in Finland. We can be proud that we are part of Finnish nation as a Sami, and we are equals here.
One of the main issues addressed in the government equality plan is the rights of gender minorities in Finland. Trans rights activists have for years asked for a reform of the Trans Act, a law that currently requires those seeking legal gender recognition to undergo enforced sterilisation.
Well, Finland is the only Nordic country that still requires infertility in order to get your legal gender recognized. So in order to get the M to F or F to M, you need to prove that you cannot have biological children. We have had a female president, we have the youngest female leader of country, but alone that doesn't, it's just a token alone. It has to have the support of the system behind it before it actually makes a difference.
So it's possible that the Trans Act could be the sacrificial lamb once again?
It looks that way.
Any coalition government is a mixed bag of politics and agendas that have come together in the hope of being more effective. But to implement any real change or government plans requires unanimous support across the board.
When you build a government in Finland, you put a lot of effort on what we call the government's program. And there is negotiations, we had it for 3 weeks in 2019. And then when you have that program, everyone knows that this is it. This is what we have decided together. When you are 5 different parties, you have to all the time try to see how you find solutions when you have different opinions.
Please enter the conference password.
Finland's party leaders are meeting at Helsinki's Houses of the Estates for the Iltakulu, a cabinet meeting to discuss the new equality programme. Trans rights and racism is on the agenda.
Finland has had coalition governments forever. So of course we are used to trying to make compromises and trying to find consensus between different parties and ideologies, and I think it's also a big strength for us.
Gender minorities are also discussed in the equality programme, particular transgender people, and Finland has been in the spotlight.
Everyone should have the right to determine their own identities.
For you, are trans women?
It's not my job to identify people. It's everyone's job to identify themselves. If someone feels that he or she is a woman, then it's not my place to say.
Mutta ensimmäisenä siis tämä hallituksen tasa-arvo-ohjelman käsittely meille asiaa.
A lot was written about how well Finland, Taiwan, New Zealand, Germany did in terms of their COVID responses. There was quick, decisive action. And the other thing that all those countries have in common are female leaders.
Well, of course, there are countries led by men that have also done well. So I don't think it's a gender-based issue. I think we should more focus on how the countries that have done well, what they have done, what they have learned, what we all can learn from each other, and that we also have response together, because it's a global pandemic.
At some point, something might change, and that popularity might change when a decision needs to be made, especially maybe during COVID times as well. Does that worry you at all?
I don't look at polls. The most important thing is that we try to make the decisions that we have to make based on the best knowledge that we can use, and also that we are trying to make decisions in a way that helps ordinary people in their ordinary lives, in crisis and also in normal times. So this is my mission as a Prime Minister.
But there are challenges ahead. And no Prime Minister in Finland has seen a full term since the 90s. But with 85% approval rating, Sanna Marin is enjoying a striking level of confidence in uneasy times.